I missed it because I came in after you were started. I understand there was an incident on Gallaudet Street on Saturday at about 5 p.m. A woman with a knife and not making much sense sort of followed a group of people walking through Ivy City and followed them for about a block, waving the knife in a woman's face. Do you know anything about that?
I don't really know anything too much about that. Saturdays are one of my days off, so I wasn't at work and I haven't been updated on that event by any of my colleagues. So I'm sorry. Right now I just don't know. This is Officer Travis Collins. He's one of the best officers in the PSA right now on evenings.
Are you in 506 or 507?
Both for the most part. I was in 507 last year, and then just recently I went over to the 506. Okay. So I'm doing both PSAs.
He knows the area pretty well, both areas. He's familiar with a lot of the individuals we have to deal with on a daily basis out here.
What did you say your name was?
I'm sorry, what's that? My name?
Your name?
Officer Collins. First initial T. Does anyone have any questions or concerns? Or I'm sure there's plenty of concerns or questions that I might be able to answer. Or
sorry, you said something about food. They just do
Yeah, let's talk about that.
Yeah. There's domestic. The domestic-related assaults. A lot of them have been, for whatever reason, been revolved around food. Arguments have been centered around food. So
and it's more than one property that has been an issue? Or,
yes.
Or did it seem like there were underlying causes such as maybe drug addiction, or not trying to be, presumptive, but were there other coexisting issues that you guys caught? Because food struck me as odd also.
Right.
Well, food insecurity is an issue in our community.
Right. It was just something that stuck out to me, so I thought I'd mention it. That's about it. I was just had a few minutes to review some of the reports, and that's just a common theme that stuck out. So.
And are they like on blocks that are near each other? Because
it was all within the PSA.
Okay.
I just looked at all the domestic related. I didn't even get a really chance to look at the exact addresses for each one.
Are there any questions related to crime in Trinidad? Sergeant Jones, I'd like to hear updates from 507 as well.
I don't have any updates for 507.
Or can we get someone to provide updates for 507?
And 505 also.
And 505.
Because his story is concerning.
Yeah, sure.
Does anyone have any concerns or complaints or maybe nuisances or any issues that, because I'm in patrol, so I'm pretty much going to be the individual as well as other officers that I work with that are going to respond from any time between the evening tour into the night. And if there's anything that I can maybe help that would
Well, I remain concerned about the proliferation of open air, never ending drug activity in the 19th Street corridor.
Yeah.
I understand that Vice is over there, but there's just a lot of activity going on. And I shared with Commander Porter recently that there was an officer on patrol sitting at 1830 Benning Road, which is the Food 7 store, and there was some activity, some drug activity behind him. And of course, Commander Porter was very responsive and addressed that. But we want to make sure that summer's coming and that area has to be completely clear.
Yeah.
I'm getting a lot of complaints. I don't want to get any complaints. We want to be safe and we want to feel comfortable walking to and from and around.
As an officer, we try to keep an eye on our surroundings 100%. I mean, things slip through us. There's things that we don't notice at times. We're only human. So as far as maybe like a quick transaction that might happen behind a scout car, I mean, we try to focus and pay attention to everything going on. it depends if we're dealing with the subjects, like you want to be more maybe focused on them, but as far as 19th Street, I know that's a really difficult area, and I've tried to, as an officer, I've tried to tap into 19th Street a little bit. It's very difficult there because the large crowds and the manner in which things are done there, it's a little bit more.
I understand some arrests have been made, and it's good.
When we're there,
but we need you to take it home.
It's very difficult because they understand. They see us. It's a hill. It's a very strategically. It's they can see us coming from a mile away. It's a one-way northbound hill, so it's very difficult to even. They can see us from a mile away coming. So, but as far as Vice, I've heard them on the air over there doing operation stuff that help address some of the drug complaints in that area. So, but it's a work in progress.
And I want to applaud you all for your actions, your swift actions in addressing, returning one of our neighbors. The elderly woman was missing. Was it yesterday, Commissioner Roberts? The elderly woman on L Street, 86-year-old. She had dementia. She wandered away, but thankfully this had a happy ending, and the family was very thankful for the assistance that they received. And we want to make sure that
there was actually a really good job by 5D Youth Division. We had air support out there looking for her, the Bloodhound, Samuel the Bloodhound, and also 1D, officer from 1D actually located her.
The neighbor was so relieved. He was just so very thankful.
It was really good to see everybody working together on that.
It was.
They were bringing home.
It was. And thank you. Are there any other questions from the neighborhood, from the community? Yes, ma'am.
Was the 12-year-old found?
The one on M Street? Yeah, what's her name? Lakeisha? Because I sent that out. Thank you. Thank you. There was a missing 12-year-old. Has she been located from the 1200 block of 18th Place? I'm sorry, 18th Street Northeast? She's been located? Thank you. Is she okay?
It's a couple hours later.
Okay. All's well that ends well. Thank you. Any other questions or concerns?
All right, well, thank you for your time.
All right, Sergeant Jones. Thank you, Officer Collins.
Yep.
I'm going to give Mr. Jones from the Mayor's Office of Community Affairs an opportunity to provide some brief updates.
Oh, sure. Thank you. Thank you, Commissioner.
You're welcome.
First of all, I see it's been great to come here and now see familiar faces and to see constituents coming and being a part of the process here. My name is Tommy Jones. I'm with the Mayor's Office on Community Affairs. I handle coming to commissions of 5C and 5D, and then my partner is Malik Williams. He handles 5A and 5B, and we rotate with 5E. Our responsibilities are for the outreach for the mayor for Ward 5. And so anytime you feel free, you can give me an email. My email is Tommy, TOMMIE.Jones@dc.gov. And I'm more than happy to help you with any problems or things that you have as well. I want to thank the commissioners that have had an opportunity to meet with. We had snow day on Thursday, and so for some of you, we didn't get an opportunity to meet one-on-one. So I'll be sending you shortly some rescheduled and opportunities to meet one-on-one to hear more about some of the issues that you have that you would like DC government to work with. And so with that, I just want to tell you a couple quick updates that are going on that the mayor has been working on and will be working on. Then answer if the commission has an opportunity for people to have any questions. I'd like to answer those briefly as well. The mayor has she will have her first State of the District address, and that'll be on Tuesday, March 31st, and that'll be at the Lincoln Theater at 6 p.m. And it will start at 6:30. She has an opportunity, if you go on the mayor, so at mayor.dc.gov, you can sign up and if you plan to attend. At that time, she'll talk about some of her priorities, talk about the budget as it relates. So it's an opportunity, again, to just be involved and be in the process as well. A number of things has happened. She has announced the chief of the District of Columbia's Fire and Emergency Medical Services, Gregory Dean, who came from the Seattle Fire Department. She's also had an opportunity to be involved with the Senators and Satchel Paige Little League, which was here on February 18th, and that's an opportunity for boys and girls in ages 4 to 18 to be a part of. She was at that event as well. Just want to let you know we are working on a number of issues and a number of things to work together to make Ward 5 DC a great place to grow, to learn, and for people to feel safe and concerned. We do work with your commissioners, and we do have opportunities to engage and to be a part of the process. There's more things that are coming up, so we're working with individuals on their neighborhood cleanups that are coming up. We'll be working with individuals like the commission is talking about with the PSAs to help to reduce some of the crime and other activities that are going on. So it's a collaborative process, and it's a process that so far I believe has been working well. We've had some challenges, we can all admit, but I think through challenges brings opportunities to work together, and opportunities to engage in good dialogue for the betterment of all citizens. I see Karen here. I hope you saw the cleanup happen. If you didn't see it, the cleanup did happen. That was a long process, but that was a process where government tried to work as proactively to clean up the area that was affected on your street. So we are working together. I think for many of us that have emailed, we have tried to work to get the process done. We want to open it up for any issues that I want to take like 2 or 3 minutes, because I know the commission has a lot of things that are going on.
You're fine, go ahead.
Yeah, but are there any issues that we can help with in the process, or you have a concern? And then we had a public safety concern, and the public safety officers were here. So I think that was an opportunity. But any other issues that you'd like us to know about that we can bring back and try to address for you?
Well, Mr. Jones, before we actually get into that, I would just like to say, one, I think you struck an appropriate note with your comments about making sure that we're all working on the same page and, you know, getting back on track and remaining on track. And I would simply ask, you know, that you continue to work closely, you know, with the respective commissioners for each SMD and their constituents, so that, you know, we can all move forward. And I do want to take the opportunity to really, really encourage everyone to attend Mayor Bowser's State of the District address. It's not just Mayor Bowser's State of the District address, it's our district of address. And we certainly need to be there to support her and to support ourselves.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, yes.
You're right on. And I think that's where we're getting to work together for everyone here.
And everyone that, as you arrive, please make sure that you sign in. We really want to capture your participation and communicate with you in the future. So thank you.
Okay.
Any questions? We're going to open it up. Any questions or concerns?
Yeah. Thanks. Commissioner Ryan, I'm going by first name, actually, Commissioner.
And thanks, Mr. Jones. As we are now hopefully done with snow for the year, is there?
Let's not.
A couple times. Are there any opportunities that DPW or the mayor's office would provide to get public comment on sort of improvements for next year and any suggestions? Or?
Well, I would say this. I don't know what they're doing for that, but I think from just a constituent basis, a couple of things can happen. One, you can email me directly, and we capture that, and we'll make sure that those are given to the appropriate area. And I think as commissioners, if individuals email you and you want to forward it to us, we can then make sure that's tracked. Just in general, we have heard several issues related to garbage, snow, recycling that have affected all of us at one time or another. We were upset or we were happy with DPW as it related to that issue. And I think the first thing DPW tried to do was the whole pickup that weekend to try to get all of it done. And that was because of all of you, the everybody complaining and everybody saying this is unacceptable for DC. And so that was a direct way that the mayor and the city administrator and the local unions working together to get that done.
And you know, I like that piece about the unions coming together to agree, and I think that was very appropriate. I received a lot of complaints about missed trash collection, but I can say that when the effort was undertaken to start removing all that trash, I also received calls and emails at like midnight. Oh, they're on my street. They're on my street. The citizens really appreciated that, and I think we need to. And I would like to, and I'll share this with Mayor Bowser as well. But I've often said that the union contract needs to be renegotiated so that we can get a better level of service. Because, and I say that because in the summertime, trash gets collected early because it gets hot, and the workers try to pick up the trash quickly before it gets hot. But in doing so, they can sometimes miss collecting, and it's a little haphazard. And if the individuals pick up the trash, the contract is such that if they pick up the trash, let's say if they finish in 2 hours, they still get paid for a full day. And we need to make sure that we're allowing enough time to adequately pick up trash, particularly in 5B, and this is an issue throughout 5B. We want to make sure that trash is a first priority, and we look forward to hearing Mayor Bowser's position on making sure that that happens.
Did I miss anyone else? Well, thank you very much for the opportunity again to come. We'll be here every month, so feel free.
Thank you. Representative from Monument Academy. I'm sorry, tell me your name, please.
Laura Massimini.
Ms. Massimini, please spell that for me.
Massimini.
Oh, okay. The floor is yours. Would you please come forward and give us an update on Monument Academy? Share with us exactly what that is.
Yes, and this is the CEO and founder of Emily Bloomfield.
Who are you?
And what's your name, ma'am?
Me, I'm Emily Bloomfield.
Emily
Bloomfield.
Bloomfield.
Yeah.
Okay, ladies, the floor is yours.
Thank you. Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
My name is Laura Massimini, and I'm the outreach coordinator for Monument Academy. We are a new upcoming weekday boarding school. I've been in education for about 15 years now, where 10 of them I served as a classroom teacher. I'm very excited about the mission of Monument Academy because we are servicing students who are at risk of expulsion, suspension, and other punitive, what's the word I'm looking for? Infractions, basically, in traditional school systems. And we actually have a different approach. We believe in teaching the whole child. We are committed to the social, emotional aspect as well as the academics. So we are PBIS, which is a positive behavior intervention systems, as well as restorative justice. So what that means is if a child acts out in class, they are not suspended or sent out of the classroom. We try to reteach the behavior. Oftentimes in a traditional school setting, they don't have enough resources to give the child that type of support. So just like we teach math, English, and science, behaviors need to be taught. Children do not always come to us knowing how to handle emotions and how to respond in certain situations when something has triggered them to act out. So weekday boarding school, I'm all over the place because I don't want to take up too much time. We are located in the Rosedale community off of 19th and
Did you say a boarding school?
yes, weekday boarding school. In the Rosedale community, we have been awarded the old Gibbs building, so we are right off of 19th and Benham Road, not too far from here. So the kids stay with us from Monday through Friday, pick up is Friday, drop off on Sunday. And this allows parents and the staff an opportunity to meet and talk about anything that may have happened during the week and to update us on anything that may have happened during the weekday. So I have a few brochures and flyers. So I'm just going to walk through this very quickly, just so you can get an idea of how the school is set up. Rise and shine. Students receive a personal wake up and eat a family style breakfast. So the boarding piece is not a traditional boarding piece. The students actually live family style. They have 2 house parents. It's kind of like a condo feel with kitchen, living area. And one of the reasons we've done this is to create stability and also help to assist teaching life skills. Because like I said, we want to be able to teach the whole child. And that means teaching them how to be able to take care of themselves and to become independent learners and thinkers. So they, house parent and student life family, students share a personal day goal with their family and head out to play a morning family game. And then after morning exercise, the students move to the academic building for the morning focus and activities. So the morning focus is well-being is weaved throughout all aspects of the program. Every morning, students and staff begin each academic day practicing mindfulness. As a parent, I know that the mornings can sometimes be very hectic, and sometimes it sets the tone for your child's day. So it's very important if students are to be successful during the day that the morning starts off properly with a well-balanced meal for breakfast, and then some mindfulness, some meditation to get focused and set for the day. Academic blocks. So students have 2 daily academic blocks with a maximum of a 1 to 10 student to adult ratio. So we are committed to keeping our student-teacher ratio low so that we can continuously offer the services of teaching the whole child. Student life and activities. After the academic day, students engage in the enrichment activities that might include sports, cooking club, choir, theater. I'm also building relationships with the community. The director of the Rosedale Rec already said that our students can participate in the sports activities there and any other programs that they may have that the children are interested in. Closing day, before students prepare for bed, they reflect on the daily goal they set in the morning. The house parent and the other students in the family celebrate and support one another in this process. Students then read and journal in their rooms until lights out. Drop off and pick up, I talked about this a little bit. Early Sunday morning, students are dropped off and families have a chance to speak with staff. The same opportunity exists on Fridays. So the students go home on weekends and holidays.
Ms. Massimini, if you could, can you just share with us what's the rationale for this type of curriculum, this type of school format?
Definitely.
And then talk about your recruitment efforts, and we'll take questions from the audience.
Yes,
And I see
ma'am.
you, Commissioner.
Yeah. Yes, ma'am. Okay, well, Ms. Bloomfield might be able to share her story since she's the founder and the CEO, and she can give you the background information on how the vision came about.
Sure. Well, the vision of the school is really to support families, particularly those that may have some risk factors. Those might include a child who's being parented by extended family, grandparents, aunts, who may be struggling with their own health concerns or having to get to work. It could also be a family that's experiencing homelessness or an illness or death of a parent or an incarcerated parent. Oftentimes, these kids can do extremely well and are doing extremely well academically, but some of the stuff that's going on at home can really set them back. They might have a disruptive episode in school, and many schools, not all, really have a zero tolerance policy, and many of these children are suspended, sometimes expelled, and rather than addressing their needs, sort of focus on the punitive. And so I would say one of the things we're really trying to accomplish is to move away from what we talk about as the school to prison pipeline and really focus on, as Laura said, developing the social and emotional skills. We also have an excellent academic program that's really personalized because we have such a low student-teacher ratio. And really this part of this story came about from my own extended family experience where my aunt and uncle-in-law wound up gaining custody of 2 of their grandchildren and really struggling with all their needs and getting them to school and really feeling like they may have to relinquish them and thinking about, well, what kind of school can support families who are going through some challenges so that their kids can remain in a school, have the excellent academics they deserve, but also the counseling support they might need, the stability so they know they'll get to school every day, they'll know they'll have 3 meals a day, and yet they're still very connected with their family. So that's really the vision of the school.
And recruitment, we are not a part of the My School DC lottery because we want to personally recruit our students, which is why I'm here. We want to make sure that the families who are coming are those who really need the services that we're offering. We really want to be able to build a village around these children and to support not just the child, but the family as well.
And we're starting with fifth
Fifth
grade,
grade.
and there'll be 40 fifth graders.
Oh, so the school has not opened yet?
It's opening this
In
August, and
August.
so we're recruiting our first class of rising fifth graders.
Okay. It changes a lot of my questions. I don't know if you guys are aware, but Options Public Charter, which was also an alternative school, was within this commission. And one of the challenges they had were IEPs in conjunction to test scores. So do you guys have a plan in place for the students at the school to thrive while on IEPs?
Yes, I actually spent a lot of time in Options, so I think it was very instructive in a lot of ways. But yes, we have, so our teachers, we're recruiting our teachers, so we'd like at least one dual certified special education teacher in the classroom. We have a special education coordinator, and then we have this ratio of 10 students to each teacher. And so we expect a lot of our students to come with IEPs, but we are offering through the personalized education as fully included experience as we can. And then we have these breakout rooms that are attached to the classroom so that even if kids, the idea is that every child there has a personalized plan. So whether you have an IEP or not, you think your experience is having a personalized plan. And if you need some small breakout time with for small group instruction, there are those rooms, but you're still sort of in the main classroom. And we are accountable. We really believe in we're accountable for student growth, and we've set, I think, really good targets for that, and we're committed to supporting kids in that.
Okay, then I only have one other question. Because it's a mixed gender school,
Mhm.
what is the concept or the floor plan for doing this with fifth graders?
Meaning the house, like how the house.
Yes, it's easier with fifth graders than high schoolers because I thought it was a high school program. But with fifth graders, are you going to separate the sexes or how?
Definitely, yes.
Single gender houses, and they'll either live with house parents, a couple, or they will live with two individuals who are matched by gender with the house.
Okay, and how many children are in a house or?
8 to 10.
Okay, so 8 to 10 with 2 adults.
Yes.
Okay.
And then we have a 24-hour residential person who stays away.
Good. Ladies, would you, and I see you, Commissioner Roberts, would you all be amenable to conducting a community walkthrough to help identify parents that would benefit from your services?
We would love to
I
do
would
that.
love to.
Okay.
I actually just did that last week in Kenilworth.
Yes, very good. So I'll be in contact because I think that there's certainly a need in my community, and I'd love for you all to come. Commissioner Roberts?
2 questions. So if I'm a parent considering the other boarding school in DC, could you maybe explain a little bit what your differences are? And then my second question, similar to Commissioner Henderson's question, is although you're not in our ANC, you are very close neighbors. What, if anything, can we do to be supportive and sort of help set you up for success from a community perspective?
Awesome. So the difference between us and C, the biggest part is the boarding aspect. C kind of emulates the prep boarding school where they live dormitory style and eat in cafeteria, whereas we are trying to create this village, this stability for the child where they live family style, they eat dinner together, they cook dinner together, they learn life skills. We also don't have as big a population. We're only 40 students. Each year will grow, but each class will only be 40 students so that we can keep the small adult student ratio.
And I would say there are a couple of other things too. So we have, for each grade level, we have 3 social workers And we have a relationship with Georgetown Medical School with the Division of Child and Adolescent Psychiatry to provide a lot of additional support. So we are really focused on that extra well-being component and supporting students and families. And I would say both schools really have high academic bars for the students. I would say ours is less trying to emulate. We would like to be like a private boarding school, but we also know we want to prepare kids for post-secondary. But I would say we're less fixed that it has to be 4 years right away. And so the other thing that we're doing, we would like to expand to a high school. It probably won't be on the same campus, but offer career training in our high school, and so it's high quality certification. So in the middle school, we will be doing work to expose students to careers, taking students in and out of office places, bringing in adults who work in a variety of professions, making the connection between what the schoolwork is that kids are doing and careers. And a lot of the work that we'll be doing, particularly in science, will be very hands-on, and we'd like to have a sort of tinkering space, which is very STEM focused, so that kids get, even at an earlier level, an early exposure to STEM, and introducing coding as well in the middle school and building on that for high school. So
Ms.
those are
Miles?
some differences.
Ms. Miles?
Where does the funding for school come from?
It's all from the public charter school funding formula.
So we are DC public charter school, so as long as the child is a DC resident, they're eligible to apply.
And something I want to add, because it was a concern for some parents in the past, a child that has like an IEP, now their funds travel with the child. So that's less concerning that they're opening such a school, because if the child leaves the school, the funds leave the school also. So just wanted to throw that out because that's hot.
And how you can support us? Bringing us to family. So a walkthrough through the community will be amazing. I had a great time meeting parents in Kenilworth with the advocate in the neighborhood, Mr. Chicks. So just let me know what day and what time, and I will be there.
Thank you.
Thank you so
And
much.
ultimately, adult mentors, we will be looking, in our first year, we're gonna be consolidating, but people coming in and talking about their careers, working on the garden, doing clubs, all of that. So,
Ladies, provide your phone numbers again, please.
sure, I have my card, I'll just.
Okay, wonderful, thank you. Are there any questions? Yes, ma'am. Ms. Fitzhugh.
Regarding the special education services, will there be a school psychologist who's full-time on staff, or is the
Yes.
contract, and as the school grows, how do you plan to oversee, having school psychologists in terms of the ratio of school psychologists to the number of students that you have?
Ms. Fitzhugh, can you restate your question so that everyone can hear? I'm not sure that everyone heard you. Thank you.
I was asking about the special education services.
Mhm.
So I heard that the students will have IEP, and you also have a school certified instructor, but I was curious about the school psychologist, whether you're hiring someone who will be full-time at the school, or if you're gonna contract a school psychologist from either the district or outside of the school. And also I was curious, as the school grows, how do you anticipate bringing those school psychologists to oversee those students who do have IEPs, and what that ratio might be? Like one school psychologist to 50 students or 20 or more? I'm just curious what you plan for that.
So we've already, I mean, that's a great question. We've already hired our director of well-being, and you can read all about her on our website. She is she's our school psychologist. She's a PhD in psychology from Catholic University. And actually her experience was she aged out of foster care, went to college, got her doctorate here at Catholic University, worked at Milton Hershey School, which is a large private boarding school, working with many of the same students and families. And then she's been working with in the DC public school arena, providing services here. And for each grade level, we will hire 3 licensed social workers, and some of them may have slightly different experiences. One may do more, say, art therapy. One may have another expertise, and they will have overlapping times in the school, so there'll always be a psychologist there while the children are awake. And as we grow each grade level, we will be hiring 3 additional social workers. And then we have the relationship with Georgetown, with the child and adolescent psychiatry division, and we will have a full-time psychiatrist available every Friday. And the benefit of that person is they will provide a lot of staff development for our staff. They will provide services if there's a child who gets referred for any particular reason, or if there's a family that would benefit, they will help then connect them with services through the university.
And
Are there any other questions? Okay.
and each year the ratio stays the same for the student and the well-being staff.
Okay, thank you ladies so
Thank
much.
you.
Appreciate it.
Thanks.
Is Miss Sarah Fastbow here? Oh, there she is. All right. Come on up. We have Miss Sarah Fastbow from the Alcohol Beverage Regulation Administration. Would you please give us an update or an overview of what the liquor licensing process is, particularly because of our time constraints, the protest process for liquor licensing? And I see that we have the Kims from Kovacs Liquor. Are you here? Thank you. Did everyone sign in? There are 3 sign-in sheets going around. Please make sure that everyone signed in. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Henderson. My name is Sarah Fastbaugh. I'm the Community Resource Advisor with the Alcoholic Beverage Regulation Administration. ABRA essentially issues and renews licenses. We ensure that licensees are in compliance with district laws and regulations. And we also do a community outreach portion, which is what I'm doing tonight. Yes, absolutely. We have renewals coming up for Class A licenses, which you should start seeing placards coming up in the near future if you haven't already
Can you
started.
tell people what a Class A license is, please?
A Class A license is a liquor store. We have 2 off-premises retailers. We have Class B licenses, which are grocery stores. They sell beer and wine. Class A liquor stores can sell spirits, beer, and wine. So you should see those coming up. Various groups can protest Class A liquor stores during the renewal period that's coming up. For example, ANCs, any affected ANC within 600 feet of the establishment, a community association, a group of 5 or more, the MPD, and other entities. If you're interested in protesting, please reach out to me. I gave my cards to the commissioners, so you can reach out to your SMD and they can put you in touch with me and I can show you the process. But essentially, once you file your protest letter, it'll trigger various hearings that you'll need to attend. So a roll call hearing, a mediation, a status hearing, and a protest hearing. Is there anything else you wanted me to cover before I ask questions? Or
Yes. With regard to license renewals, is it a common practice that commissions actually protest the license and then are able to work out a voluntary agreement with the licensee prior to any hearings? Talk about that process.
Right, so you can actually enter into a settlement agreement at any time, but we tend to see people enter into settlement agreements during the protest process because it allows the protestants to sort of have teeth. So it is quite common for ANCs to protest an establishment with the intent to enter into a settlement agreement if there isn't already a settlement agreement in place. So yes, that's quite common.
I'm going to pick on Commissioner Lee. Do you have some questions about the moratorium that you would like to explain?
Oh yeah, I did. We would like to see in the past that there's been a moratorium of single sales of liquor.
Okay.
The open containers, the bottles, the beers, the single sales.
Right.
Is that a possibility?
If you would like to implement something like that.
What's the process? Just tell, we know it's possible. What's the process?
Right, you would have to file a request with us, and I can get into specifics with you, but it's a little technical, so I don't want to present in front of everyone, but if that's something that you're interested in, if you want to request a moratorium, definitely reach out to me and I can walk you through the process. I can have an attorney involved as well. But it is possible.
Okay, yes.
Yeah.
We had it in the past.
Yes. Does anybody else have any questions about ABRA?
please, you're a great audience, but we want to make sure that you ask questions, get your answers.
Oh, one thing, we rely heavily on the public to notify us when someone's being a bad actor in the community. If you think that someone's violating their settlement agreement or district laws and regulations, please call our complaint hotline. Our complaint hotline is 202-329-6347. Again, that's 202-329-6347. We answer that in the evenings and all the way up until an hour after the legal sale of alcohol. That applies to if you have any noise complaints or you believe that they're violating district laws, anything like that, please let us know, because a lot of times people will say, how do we get rid of someone? The best way to do it is to start filing complaints. Yes.
Commissioner Lewis.
Okay, in conjunction to the noise issue or the noise ordinance, I know when I call, like, the number, if it's the nightclub, they're usually operating after you guys close. So I have to call the police department. However, they're not all trained or have the equipment to test the noise volume. So my question is, will they be provided with the appropriate items, or will you guys have night investigators in place for such issues?
Okay, I think you might be thinking of DCRA, because we have night investigators that work until about 4 in the morning on the weekends and 3 in the morning on weekdays. We do have a noise task force, so if you live in a commercial district, we can send out the noise task force. Just let me know about the problem establishments, and if you know if they have any events coming up, and I can let them know to come out there and check it out. But we do have investigators working until, we have someone answering the hotline until 4
Okay, so the number you gave is the hotline number?
Yes.
Okay, so that's the number I would call, because when I've done it in the past, I've been told there's no one that can come out to call the police department.
Did you call 311?
No. I
Okay.
actually had the numbers programmed into my
Oh,
phone.
really?
But
Okay.
I will
Yeah,
do
absolutely.
this with these numbers that you just gave,
Right.
and give updates if needed.
If you are unable to get a hold of someone and you call that number, please let me know and I'll notify the director.
Okay, perfect, thank you.
Commissioner Roberts and then Commissioner Henderson.
Can you talk briefly, I think you said this before, but to ask again, the information sharing that happens in a case like that, where let's say that the police were called out and did come out, the police know it's an alcohol establishment, how does that information flow back to the board?
So the police will determine whether or not they want to get us involved. They don't always get us involved. So for example, we have a case where someone told us about a case where a man was shot in a liquor store, but it didn't really apply to us. So the police didn't really get us involved and the board wasn't notified. So if you know of something, you can let us know and I can let our enforcement team know, but it really is dependent on whether the MPD wants to get us involved.
Commissioner Henderson.
Good evening. My question is, how exactly how is your office able to be of assistance, for example, when you happen to deal with liquor stores, or, well, I would say more so liquor stores, where they have a lot of vagrancy. You have individuals who stand outside these stores for hours drinking and then tossing the trash.
That would definitely be an NPD issue,
Okay.
unless there's something specifically in the settlement agreement that states that they can't have people standing outside their establishment, and maybe we can handle that. But anytime someone leaves the establishment, you're now talking about an NPD.
But there does need to be fine language with the, I guess, the owner of the establishment, that along with their agreement, there cannot be any loitering of any sort.
Right, you can say that in your settlement agreement. Right. Right, and that's another thing too. A lot of people have issues with nightclubs because patrons will leave the nightclub and they'll be really inebriated and they'll start urinating in public or throwing bottles around or jumping on cars. I've heard that one, smashing car windows. At that point, once they leave the club, it's really MPD.
We've received, when I say we, the commission, I've received as a single member district commissioner from numerous neighbors concerns about Bardo's. I know that Bardo's on Bladensburg Road, a lot of community, people who live in the community and even other business owners complain about that business. We've had noise complaints. I know the commander has been there many times.
Right.
We have people spilling out into the streets, disturbing the public, loud noises, smoke at night. I understand the owner actually lives at the premises, burning wood. We've had the Department of the Environment go out there. What's going on with Bartles? And then at one point, I understand, I was told they didn't have running water, they had porta potties and not bathrooms. I mean, what's going on with Bartles? What's the status, and what more can citizens do? This commission has taken a position to ask for recourse to address the ongoing infractions, and we're very concerned that they're allowed to continue to operate as they do.
Absolutely, I understand. As far as the patrons spilling out in the streets, again, that's NPD, unfortunately. A couple things. If it's a tavern, which I'm assuming it is, because it's not a restaurant.
Yeah,
It's a brewery. We don't know what it is.
Okay, I can look into that. But if it's a tavern, they don't serve food?
No.
Okay.
If that's what you're asking.
Yes.
They don't serve food.
Okay, it's most likely a tavern then, which means that it's up for renewal on September 30th, 2016. So you can protest then. What I would recommend is that you keep filing complaints with us, and if it's not something within our jurisdiction, you can always refer it to someone else, whether it's DCRA or MPD. But definitely let us know. You can email me. You're not a burden. My job is to deal with the community.
Yeah, you've been very helpful. I'm glad to finally meet you, but you've been very helpful.
Oh, thank you.
Over the months. Yes, Commissioner Lee?
So, because Bartles is a brewery, so is it any, because I know we had breweries in the city in the past, but they're all left now, they're all these microbreweries. So the industrial part, do you regulate that, or the manufacturer, because they manufacture beer? So how do you handle that? Do you need a special permit to manufacture beer, or do you?
So we do have an endorsement called a brew pub endorsement. I'm not really sure what Barto's license looks like. I'll have to look into it for you and tell you what their license allows.
We'd appreciate the follow-up. Thank you.
Right, absolutely.
And also, you mentioned that it might be September of 2006, considering that the neighborhood opposed, 2016, my apologies. Considering the neighborhood opposed that establishment before it got here, is there something that can be done to expedite their process? Their residents don't want to wait until then.
Right.
And these are not my constituents. I just know how upset they typically are.
I understand. The best way to do is keep filing complaints, because we'll write them up every time we see that there's an issue. We find that the complaint is founded, we can write them up. So.
Are there other questions? Well, I have a final question. Yes, ma'am.
It's Sarah.Fashball, that's S as in Sam, A-R-A-H .Fashball, that's F as in Frank, A-S-H, B as in Bob, A-U-G-H, at dc.gov. But I did give the commissioners my business card, so if you need to get a hold of me and you're unable to, they can call.
Two final questions. One, what is the difference, the licensing difference, or is there a difference between a private club and a tavern? And two, what weight does the board give to police calls for service in evaluating whether or not a licensee should have their license revoked or receive some type of fine?
Okay, so for the first question, are you asking what the difference between a nightclub is and a tavern, or a
private club?
Private club, so
not
like a Lions
club.
Club.
A private club
Glorious
that restricts.
Club. I'm sorry?
Glorious Club.
That restricts members of the public.
Oh, okay, yes.
As opposed to a tavern.
So a club is required to have members, and they're required to pay a fee. Not all of their events can be open to the public, but the regulations are kind of lax on that. I would definitely reach out to your council member if you want them to be a little bit stricter. But yeah, it's pretty lax. They just have to have members that are paying and constant. And you can't walk off the street on most circumstances. You can't just walk off the street and go into the club.
But do you license them differently?
Right, it would be a multi-purpose license. So they're licensed differently.
Okay, so what's the endorsement?
It's not an endorsement, it's just a different name of a license, but they don't have requirements such as serving food or anything to that effect.
Okay.
So that, and it also doesn't have built in like a nightclub will have an entertainment endorsement built in, for example. They don't.
And what about the calls for service?
Calls for service, if you notify the MPD that there's issues with a...
No, my question was, how much weight does the board give calls for service in evaluating whether or not a licensee should be fined and or have their license revoked?
If you're talking to MPD or if you call us?
Calls for service, police calls for service. There's a record generated, police calls for service.
Right, so if we're involved and the board decides to move forward, the board could fine the establishment. It really depends on whether we get involved. Because if you contact the police, they might not involve us.
Okay.
So I definitely recommend getting us involved.
Okay. Any other questions? Yes, ma'am.
Hi, I'm from Kovacs Liquor. We're up for a license renewal, and we've complied with our voluntary agreement within our liquor license for over 4 years now. But we wanted to, now that we're up for our license renewal, we wanted to request an amendment for an hours of operation. We're not saying that we have the intention of changing our hours of operation at this time, but we want to add a clause so that it is possible for us to open on Sundays. Should we and the neighborhood decide that that might be something that is desired? Is that something that needs to happen here or with our actual district commissioner? And does that voluntary agreement need to have been completed before we actually apply for the renewal?
Right, so if your settlement agreement bars you from operating those hours, you have to have your settlement agreement amended before you even come in and apply.
Okay.
Because what will happen is you'll apply for something and we'll just turn you away and say you have to talk to your whoever's signed the settlement agreement with you.
Ms. Fastval, with regard to the voluntary agreements, can they be entered into exclusively between the single member district commissioner and the licensee, or does the commission have to vote on them?
Sure, so the settlement agreement can be between the establishment and anybody who the establishment is willing to sign something with, but the single member district cannot enter into a settlement agreement for the ANC, if that makes sense.
Okay.
Yeah.
So,
Yes.
so, single member district cannot go into agreement as the commission. However, can they go in as the single member district?
Yeah, yeah,
Okay.
absolutely.
Perfect.
The entity can enter into a settlement agreement with anybody. It could be someone down the street, or MPD, or you, or the commission.
But you're not required to give the single member district commissioner great weight. You're required to give the commission great weight.
Right, but that would be if it was like a letter of support from the S&D. We wouldn't be required to give them great weight. If the ANC wrote a letter of support.
But you don't have the same provision with regard to voluntary agreements.
No, it's just it's a contract between you and the establishment.
So what's the level of enforceability?
100%.
Okay.
As long as, you know, the board will review it and make sure everything's enforceable. If they have an issue with any of the clauses, they'll let you know that they need to get them changed.
Are there any other questions or concerns, commissioners? Ms. Fastball, thank you so much. Actually, at this time, I'd like to ask Ms. Sue Kim to come forward.
I'm actually going to speak on another sheet.
Okay, that's fine.
Hi, my name's Alina. I'm here on behalf of Kovacs Liquor. I'm not really sure exactly what you want me to cover today.
You're asking, you're asking, okay, first give us your address.
We're on 1237 Mount Olivet Road, Northeast.
Okay. You're not far from the school. You're near Circle 7.
That's correct.
Okay.
So
And
what would you like me to?
what is your voluntary agreement with 5B02 or with 5B?
5B.
5B as in boy? So you will need to enter into a new voluntary agreement. Because of redistricting, this commission that was formerly designated as Commission 5B is now 5B. So that voluntary agreement would not be applicable because you're not within the footprint of the current ANC 5D. You're in 5D.
Who is it that I need to coordinate this with?
It's nothing that you guys have done, it's just redistricting.
Yes.
Okay, so how do I go about doing that?
Well, what I would like to do, you can make a presentation. What I would like to ask is someone to make a motion that we oppose, that we protest your license as a matter of right in terms of protecting the rights of the commission. Certainly when Commissioner Shropshire returns, we would like the opportunity to sit down with you and to allow her to work out a voluntary agreement that will respect the concerns of the community and move forward, and hopefully we don't have to participate in the protest process.
Okay, so we've actually met with her at the last community meeting that she invited us to, and we went over our clauses, and we went over what we were hoping to amend to our existing agreement. And I understand that there was some reallocations within the district, so I understand that this does need to be rewritten to reflect the correct district and to ensure that the clauses are agreeable with both parties. We have upheld all of the requirements, and given that we are up for a renewal and there is a time limit, we would obviously like to move forward with this as soon as possible. So would you like me to contact Ms. Shropshire to schedule something?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
And she'll coordinate with you?
Yes, that would be appropriate.
Okay.
But is there a motion to oppose the license?
It's not in my district, I can't.
We have annual customer appreciation events every year. We have people come out. We have a DJ from the community, plays music all day. We have burgers and hot dogs and drinks and chips for everyone to have. They have dance parties or like dance competitions there. We've actually been awarded for being a good community member from the commission. I think a year, maybe 2 years ago.
Wasn't this commission?
Well, it might be that year, but
Maybe 3 years ago.
maybe.
Have you received any calls for service?
I'm
Police
sorry?
calls for service? Have police responded to your business for any issues?
So last year we had a drunk driver drive his Yukon into our store. So we are still, obviously the building is structurally sound, which is why we're open for business again. But we are actually a year and a half later, we're still trying to pick up pieces and make final repairs to some things. We actually just recently got our steel shutter doors replaced, and that's actually still in process of being completely repaired. So the police, for the most part, they do respond, especially under something like that, of that magnitude. I know that
But you guys call the police, correct? Like, if you're the caller, it does not negatively affect you. We want our establishments to call the police. I think the question is, are patrons calling?
No, that's not the question.
Oh, okay. I
No, the
apologize.
question is calls for service. Whether you're calling or patrons are calling, calls for service that are logged and recorded by the Office of Unified Communications through MPD.
Yes, my parents have called in the past.
How many
Various
times?
reasons. Which I would want to tell them. Can you ask like a monthly average or?
Your best recollection, because we can ask Commander Porter to provide the calls for service, but just share with us what your
She's not
best.
sure, but she doesn't really call too frequently.
We don't have a number to pro.
Okay.
And we don't generally have too many problems. I mean, we have the theft that you kind of expect, unfortunately. in
What
a
was it? We
small
took the
business.
customers, so we could just sort of.
We generally have a pretty good relationship with all of our customers within our community. We have a pretty good relationship.
Have you provided any food or beverages for any organizations in the community?
My
We
parents
didn't have
have,
this enough.
my parents have donated drinks like water for the community meetings, and we've also
Which community meetings? If you,
First,
Yeah, Miss Shropshire asked my parents to make a donation so they can keep them.
Because I don't know that ANC, but Keisha is new ANC, so I called the Keisha, and then last time I saw her, so one day, and I asked her, and then she needed something started. When she needs something and anytime, tell me, I talk to her.
Okay.
In the past, we've also had a few local, I guess they're children organizations or sports teams. They've come in and asked us to give them donations to make jerseys, and my parents have happily obliged to that. As long as we know that it's a legit organization, my parents are willing to pitch in a little bit.
And they've actually stepped over single members district bounds because they have donated waters for the IBCD Day. I think it was in 2011 that they donated when I was not a commissioner, but I was a part of the Civic Association. So I do know that they participated in that capacity for that event.
The parking lot, is that your property? The parking lot where the guys hang out at?
Yes.
That whole parking lot is yours?
I'm not sure what you're referring to. Like.
Okay, you have, I know the liquor store. You got to go driveway on, when I'm facing your liquor store, the driveway on the left. On the right, that large parking lot, is that all your parking lot?
So it's not our building. We actually went to a landlord, but she's saying, I'm saying that we only, for us, as much as we're concerned, where the curb is, up to that curb is our lot.
So you rent the building?
Yes.
But you don't rent the parking lot?
The parking lot is a part.
It's part of the building.
It's
part
of the structure.
All right, so do you clean the parking lot?
We do. We go out. We've hired members of the community who have come to us and asked for jobs, and who actually offered to come clean our lots for us consistently throughout the day, throughout the week. And unfortunately, we've had instances where we have some folks who come out and they do their due diligence and they get their pay and they go on their way. And then we've had a few who just kind of take the money and just leave. And once my father goes out there multiple times every single day to pick up the trash. But I mean, we do what we can to clean up, and I understand the loitering thing was a big thing that you guys were mentioning earlier. But I mean, we have done what we could to restrict that and minimize any type of loitering within our lot. I mean, it's a nuisance to us as well, and we don't want that. We don't want people out in the lots causing any type of trouble, putting anyone at risk or putting themselves at risk.
Right.
But unfortunately, we have had times where we have called police earlier on, and we've actually had police come here and tell us, like, well, they tell us, well, that's your problem. You should make sure they don't come here, or you should make sure they're not out there in the parking lot. And then another officer, I can't remember who he was, but he was like, well, hell, if we can't fix it, then what makes you think that these store owners can fix it?
Right, and I want to thank you ladies for your candor. I would like to put a motion on the floor that we protest the license. And again, this is not so that we can actually proceed through the protest process, but to make sure that, as Ms. Fastbow said, we have some teeth in the voluntary agreement, and that all parties actually agree to move forward in a way that supports the community. Is there a second?
I second that motion.
It's been moved and properly seconded that we protest the license for Kovacs Liquors. Is there any discussion? Are you ready for the question?
Yes.
All in favor, please raise your hand. The motion fails. I really think that this is an opportunity that was missed to protect the community's interests. The commission always hears people that have good intentions, that come before us. They promise to be good neighbors. I've heard it a million times. But we want to make sure that we have a responsibility to protect the public. And in protesting the licensee, if we can then work out a voluntary agreement that is certainly in the public's best interest. And a failure to vote in favor of that, I think, is an opportunity wasted to protect the public. Commissioner Lewis.
I actually think that Commissioner Shropshire, since it's in her SMD, should be the one to make the suggestion.
She's not here.
Okay, which is why I'm choosing to abstain from the vote. It's not a no or a yes, but I'm abstaining because I think that's in her SMD and she should champion the process. So I wouldn't have voted yes or no. I was intending on abstaining.
Question, Ms. Fastbow, what is the protest period? Do we have until the next meeting? Because I think it's a very limited petition period.
I would have to look. Have you placarded it? Have you applied for your renewal yet?
I'm sorry?
Have you applied for your renewal yet?
No, because we wanted to make an amendment to the voluntary agreement, and like she said, the districts have been reassessed, so.
Okay, so you have more than 45 days at this point because they haven't applied for the renewal. They have until March 31st to apply for the renewal. So you have 45 days from when we apply for that.
Well, hopefully Commissioner Shropshire will appear at the next meeting and we can take this issue again. Thank you very much.
Oh, just want to, if you
Yes.
come back before us, I'd like to know your percentage of sales, of where they come from, whether they come from wine, liquor, and if you could break it down to fifth, less than a fifth, half paint. What's your percentage of sales? Where do you get your greatest sales from?
Can I ask what the intent of that question is?
Just, I mean, because for information, I go in liquor stores like the one on Florida Avenue. He has a $2 bottle of vodka. You walk in, put $2 on the corner, and you get a double shot of vodka. I mean, that's a great part of his sales. And that means the guy drinks the bottle of vodka and throws it on the ground.
Okay, thank you. The other votes, I want to make sure that I reported it correctly. The other commissioners, are your votes abstentions or no votes?
Well,
Commissioner.
excuse me,
Like
I
no.
agree with, Patty Gay.
So is that a no vote or an abstention?
An abstention.
Commissioner Roberts?
Abstain.
Commissioner Bugs?
Abstain.
Thank you. All right, thank you, ladies. At this time, I'd like to call Mr. Tony Poussin.
Yes.
Come on up, sir. And Ms. Fastball, thank you for staying and addressing these issues.
Can she stay longer, please? Because this is also an adverse sort of issue.
Oh, wait a minute. Wait a minute, the three of you abstain? So the motion passes.
Oh, that is true.
The motion passes. Thank you.
That is true.
Ladies, the motion, there were 3 abstentions and 2 votes to protest your license, so the motion passes. So I'll look forward to you working with Commissioner Shropshire and reporting back to the commission so that we can come up with a voluntary agreement that actually protects the public. So ladies and gentlemen, I withdraw my other statements. I feel good that we are in a position that actually protects the public interest, and I look forward to working this out. Thank you, ladies. Come on. Thank you.
Good evening, everybody.
Yes, sir.
Should I just talk about it?
Floor is yours.
Okay. My name is Tony Poussin. I'm with HR 57 Foundation. We've been around the city. I don't know if many of you guys may have been on cable before. We used to be on 14th Street. We were on 8th Street, Northeast. And currently we're working on a project in the community here at 1399 5th Street, which is the old Terminal Market location, which is the predecessor to Union Market. The space is the location at Penn, bordered by 5th and 6th Streets. This is a big open lot with 2 large metal pavilions over it. In the past, it has been used as a shop for Northeast Ford, I believe, is the history of it, at one time.
Gallaudet University.
No, it is Gallaudet University's
They used to
property.
store their equipment there.
Oh, okay, but I was told
That's
Let me just unfinish.
false history, but it has always been Gallaudet from what I know. It has a structure on it, it has a trailer on it, and 2 large pavilions. There are gates on Penn Street for access to the lot. There's a contained space now for the dumpsters that were on the corner. That area is gonna be covered, so, you know, it's a better site as you come down Brentwood Parkway onto 6th Street. Our goals basically with the space is to create a community space and bring up the vibrancy of the space, of the area. We were planning to do what HR 57 has always done, which is provide a support network for musicians and performance spaces. Rather than being in a space, we'll be outside. We'll do outdoor concerts in the evenings and on the weekends. We will have a food service area where we would bring in D-City Smokehouse. I don't know if you guys like barbecue, some of the best barbecue in town. We hope to operate, we would like to have the option to operate 7 days a week. And our primary hours are from 11 a.m. to 1:30 a.m.
Repeat that, please.
Our primary hours are from 11 a.m. to 1:30 a.m. The 11 a.m. will provide the community with a space to come to if they wish to on the weekends, starting after 11 during the daytime, to have lunch, to hang out, to enjoy music, to enjoy vendors that would be on the space. In the evenings, we would provide space where it would be live music, but not loud where it would disturb the community. We've always prided ourselves to be a part of the community, not, not the sandpaper in the space.
And these hours are weekends exclusively that you're speaking of, or also during the week?
We like to have for the full week, but mainly on the weekends, we like to go later. Like,
oh no, my big question, or the reason behind my question is there's a school across the, or there will be a school opening in August across the street. So an establishment that has liquor, loud noise, I'm concerned that my students won't be able to.
oh, totally respect that.
Okay.
But our primary music events would probably happen late afternoons and evenings. No time would we want to disturb the community. But, we want to be able to provide the food service in the area to be used by the community, from 11 a.m. till 1 a.m. But no activity, there would be no concerts at 11 o'clock, 12 o'clock.
Just making sure. And
Now, on the
wait,
weekends, now on the weekends, there might be an event where somebody wants to have a festival or something like of the sort take place at 12:30. No loud music before 12:30. No festivals in the city.
Question: Have you had an opportunity to present to Commissioner Lewis's community regarding the plan?
No, I'm not. I've been here for the past 6 weeks.
Commissioner Lewis, is there a reason why we can't have? Because the question, you shouldn't be asking any questions at this meeting. The questions should be asked at your meeting with your community members.
That's very true. And generally, our presenters do come to the meetings and present. When he was on the agenda, the location got crossed. He came to the police department, whereas the meetings are held in Ivy City. So I took my pop on the hand for that. He did attempt to present to the community. And he's come here, like he said, a few times. My big concerns with his project is, to me, there's a lot. And I want it to be condensed or as clear and detailed as possible so he is not in violation with anything that's going on. That's why I will ask the same question so I have it in the minutes and everything else.
We appreciate giving the respective community members the opportunity to evaluate and to provide feedback for the proposed business that comes. So I think while it's certainly laudable for you to ask questions at this meeting, it would be most beneficial if your stakeholders, your constituents, would have an opportunity to ask questions. And Mr. Kusan, you know, you've been very patient, you have been to our meetings, and we want to make sure that we kind of move forward. And I think we're sort of at a stalemate. Commissioner Lewis, can we get a commitment that you're all going to make another effort to have a community meeting in your single member district, so that you can fully vet it, so that the next time you come back here, we'll all have plans and we can say yay, nay, God bless you, or not.
I want to, you know, I came to September and
Yes.
every month since then.
Yes, you have.
Okay. There was a miscommunication between us about presentation there, but you know, I don't. You know, we've got a schedule. We've got, you know, a plan, and we were hoping to start operating in April. I came to the community, come to the community first, because we're not going to do. We're not going to be a Benning
So
Road protest.
you have a liquor license in Holding.
No, I do not have a liquor license in Holland.
So
We're
you'd be
applying
applying for a new license?
A new license.
That
And-
wasn't the understanding I had.
That wasn't the understanding I had either. I really would like
But-
us to move forward,
Mhm.
because you've been very patient, you've come here,
Mhm.
we've asked questions, but I still think it's appropriate for your constituents to ask these questions and for this matter to be fully vetted there. May I ask that you both commit in this public forum to giving it one last good old college try to have a community meeting where your
We have
constituents.
community meetings that he can be added to the agenda. I just feel bad that his project, you know.
Can I get you to do a gentlewoman and a gentleman's, you know, shake hand and agreement that you'll have a meeting?
It's not a matter of having a meeting, because we have the meetings and he'll be added to the agenda. The issue is, like he said, his project is being pushed back, but you could be added to the agenda.
And we have that
And
commitment.
that date is what date?
The third Tuesday.
The third Tuesday of this
So that's
month?
next week.
Yes.
Can you make that meeting?
Yes, I can.
And then can we put you back on the agenda? Is that okay with you? We put him on the April agenda?
Yes.
Yes, the main purpose for us coming here, the process usually goes, you apply, and then you upset the community, and the community protests. The reason why I came in September is because with the community's consent, I want to make this application. I don't want to be. I've been welcoming to all the communities I've been in for the past 21 years. I want to make sure we can work together.
It's noted.
And
It's noted.
so the main purpose is to make sure that our process and our programming kick off in April. Yeah, May 1st, it could be May 1st. But, you know, but the point is that we're here requesting support for stipulated license. When the application goes in, we want to make sure that support from the community is there.
Ms. Fastbow, may I impose on you in this public forum to serve as a conduit for this meeting to mediate any issues that might come up so that both parties, all parties, can be on the same page?
I can answer questions, but I can't mediate, but I can answer questions.
I don't think.
Well, be present. Mediate. Let me withdraw that. Not mediate, but to be present to answer questions that the community may have.
I absolutely can answer procedural questions, and I'd be happy to attend any meeting that you.
Wonderful.
I don't actually, she's free to come, but I don't think that is necessary. My community has probably had most of the liquor licenses within this area, so that's not the issue.
It's just an offer.
Okay, because I don't think we have a mediation issue here, so.
Okay. This process, that's all.
I don't want us to be polarized by the use of
Yeah.
the word mediation, so let's withdraw mediation.
I agree.
I think that it's appropriate for the community, the 5D01 community, with Commissioner Lewis's facilitation to discuss your plans before you get here. That I just think that's the problem. That's an appropriate process.
So I'll just get a correct address, time and date.
Yes,
I'll
and
be
you'll
there.
be there.
Thank you.
I tried.
He
You
has
have.
tried.
You have. Duly noted.
No,
Thank you.
Madam Chair.
Yes.
Please.
So I think we got just to fact finding. So the hours were 11:30 to 1:30 Monday through Sunday.
Mhm.
And did you say what kind of stipulated license you're going to apply for? What class?
It'd probably be tavern. And the difference, I believe the difference between tavern is, you know, there's a process where you have to report how much food and how much liquor you're sold. You're not, with tavern, you don't have to do the reporting. There's a higher fee that you pay, so you don't do the reporting. But our main focus is food. Food and basically, you know, carry out the mission that HR 57 has been dedicated, which is support jazz musicians, and other musicians. We're including everybody, you know, in this event space. So the idea is to just broaden out our horizons. Yes.
One follow-up. So from your last presentation, I remember the city license. I also remember a little bit of construction.
Mm-hmm.
Are you also going to be seeking any sort of zoning adjustments or anything like that?
No zoning adjustments, no constructions at all. The site has a trailer which we use as our food truck, and it's an old trailer which has a commercial kitchen in it, and basically we're going to serve out of that, and we might have food trucks use the space, you know, time to time. We will have vendors come in and vend merchandise and food from time to time. The hours from 11 to 1:30 a.m. are not, you know, those are the hours we're going to be open.
I want to leave you all to work that out with the community, and so thank you. Thank you very much.
Good
I have a comment. Since your license, you want to start, why don't you begin the application process? Because I don't want your project held up much more.
Yeah.
So I would recommend you begin the application process because, as she mentioned, it can be opposed. Not saying that is what will happen, but so you don't have to wait an extra month.
I have the application ready to go in.
Okay, sounds good.
I have the application ready to go in. The purpose is I don't want to be opposed. I don't want to fight with anybody.
Right.
So that's why I've been here 6 months.
And we appreciate that.
Thanks.
You get points.
We'll text. Thanks.
Thank you so much.
All right, thank you.
We're going to pick up the pace. Miss Salam from DDOT is not here. So, Miss Bourdine, you're it.
I'll be quick because it is hot as Hades in here and I know everybody's really tired. So my name is Andrea Bordina. I'm a project manager with Douglas Development. I'm here just to give a very brief update as to what we're doing in Ward 5. So I'll start with New City because this is in its very, 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 very early stages. But it's the site that's across the street that borders New York Avenue, Bladensburg Road, and Montana. We had a hearing with the Office of Planning, and the hearing was Office of Planning trying to zone the site for mixed use because this site has gone through many different iterations, many different plans over the past, I think, 10 years. So it was originally a PUD with Abdo. Then when Abdo sold it to Schaefer, Schaefer converted it back to commercial and industrial use. So Office of Planning wanted to go back to mixed use. So they met with DC Office of Zoning, the Zoning Commission for a map amendment. So the map amendment basically means the site can be mixed use. So office, retail, commercial, hotel, and this site you see a mix of that. So at the top of the diamond, at the top of the site is a large retailer use. Along Bladensburg Road you have residential, and we don't own this site here. I think that's, what is that, KFC and Taco Bell and whatever other fast food places here. Then along New York Avenue, you have office. And the green represents green roofs. The pink represents public space, so sidewalks, street trees. And then when you get to Montana and New York Avenue, you have a hotel. So this is very, again, very early, very preliminary. Nothing is set in stone. The leases have been signed. But this is the concept that Office of Planning wanted us to put together to give to the Zoning Commission so they understood the need for mixed use. Okay, moving along. Everyone's favorite HEX. So,
well, before you move on to the HEX, I wanted to give us an overview of the types. When you say mixed use, it looks like, it sounds like OP favors mixed use. What does that mean for the community? And I want to give the community an opportunity to weigh in and give you some feedback regarding the types of businesses that they'd like to see.
Okay, so mixed use again is a mix of retail use, so grocery stores, mercantile clothing, bars, restaurants, office. So these, and it doesn't say this, I'm sorry. The office square footage is about 69,000 square feet, so it's a pretty large office footprint. And again, that can be a mix of, that can be office companies that are currently in other parts of DC that are looking to move a little bit closer to the Maryland, I'm sorry, I'm like knocking the board over. Then hotel here, again, this is not set in stone, but we wanted to have a mix of everything so that when you come to this site, you can shop at the retail destination, you can go to the hotel, you might have family in town, and you might live in the residential portion and your family can stay in the hotel. So that the idea is, this site is a one-stop shop. So you can eat, dine, buy a shirt, and go to sleep, all in the same vicinity. So similar to some areas you see downtown where there's a residential building with ground floor retail. That's the idea here, is to create a mix of uses so you can eat, work, play, and sleep, all in the same area. Yes?
What about
And I see your hand.
Oh, yeah.
Because, you know, just like we came today, all the Bladensburg rush hour is just backed up traffic. So is it any kind of, I mean, I always had the idea that we could have a subway spur because the train runs and it's a abandoned track coming out of Rhode Island. Are you guys thinking about something like that that's going to bring more public transportation to the area?
Sure. So since we're in the preliminary stages and this is all the cut-throughs off of New York and Montana and Bladensburg, those aren't set, but we have hired traffic engineers to study this site and see what cut-throughs make sense, what the street grid layout will be. But we've been working with DDOT, and we have to work with DDOT because the site is so massive and it's going to be multi-phased. But the idea is our traffic engineers will study this, study the traffic circle, even recommend modifications to the traffic circle, and then come up with, okay, the main entrance for the hotel should be off of Montana and not New York Avenue because X, Y, and Z, or vice versa. So they're studying every single intersection, every single traffic light, every single bus that comes through here, they count cars. They honestly stand there and actually count cars throughout the day. So the traffic is obviously an issue because we've all sat here trying to get here. But that's something that'll take, in this whole process, just the design and the studying and the engineering will take about a year. The process will take about a year. Yes, before there's a shut on the ground.
You guys want to put your name?
Reestablish which streets are where.
Sure.
Isn't there currently a school in our
I think the school is this building, or is it farther? I'm sorry. So, I'm sorry. It's yes. So the school is here. So we are on the Bladensburg side. So U-Haul is up here. The U-Haul station. This is New York Avenue. This is the Montana Avenue Circle, and this is Montana Avenue. If that makes sense. Yes, sir.
What's going to happen with Pex?
I'm sorry?
What's going to happen with Pex?
Oh, I'm getting to that. Don't worry.
I'll wait.
I have a long list.
I'll wait back.
Okay.
Are there any questions or any initial feedback in terms of any burning desire for the types of businesses that you want or that you're recommending?
I just want some kind of public transportation besides cars, some kind of connection, some kind of, you know, with the train tracks, like there's something to incorporate something like that because I see more cars, not less.
Okay.
And
maybe a shuttle bus?
Sure. So I don't own a car, so for me to get here would be virtually impossible. So we're looking at different ways where people can access the site. So if that means additional bus stops along Montana or Bladensburg, or if we have a shuttle bus service from the metro, we're taking all that into consideration. We did the same thing for the head company warehouses. We have a shuttle for residents and retail workers.
And most likely a bike share station?
Oh yeah. Oh, yes.
Bike sharing?
Now, that's a whole nother animal, a whole nother process, but that's something that we can definitely proffer to the neighborhood. It all depends on DDOT and their bike share program and what the community demands.
And certainly you will continue to confer with the community throughout this process.
Correct.
You all have a good record, an excellent record of doing that, so we expect nothing less from you.
So we presented this, I'm sorry, I'll get to your question in a second. So we presented to ANC 6C with this design and the whole map amendment process back in January. And when we met with the SMD, one of the things that came up and one of the things we did offer is to create almost a task force for this site. So to get community input and feedback as to what they like to see here, the types of uses, the types of hotels they think might make sense, the type of retail that they're looking for. So that's something that's in progress with that ASA along with your ANC.
Is this task force started yet, or you said you put it in?
I mean, we just got the approval for the map amendment last month, but we have talked with the ANC commissioner about starting that task force and starting that group. So again, we have 11 more months plus to discuss that, so it is a work in progress, but we definitely want it to happen.
And
We
I'm
don't want to
very
propose
glad to
something and
hear
then no one supports us.
about that traffic study, because that was a big issue when the site was under ADDO's control and Schaefer, so we really want to make sure that gets addressed. Ms. Wodak, did you get your questions? Any other questions or concerns, comments before we move on to HEX? All right.
Okay. So the Hex Garage, where Mom's Organic Market is, Mom's is doing very well, and they've been open for about 9 months now.
Is it that long?
Maybe it's about 7 or 8. Maybe it's less than that. I don't know.